Donald Trump has just arrived in Britain, and the British media and the London class are going absolutely mental. And it's been happening on the build-up to Trump coming here. As you can see by this article published on the 12th of May, Sadiq Khan has snubbed from a guest list for Trump's state banquet during his UK visit in June after saying the president was not in the same class as other US leaders, so he didn't get invited, which is not the same thing that happened to Boris Johnson when Obama came in 2011, where he was invited. Presumably, that even though Boris Johnson's a conservative and Obama is a left-wing liberal type, I guess that wasn't enough for Boris Johnson to go on a wild tirade about Obama, even if he had disagreed with him, right? But no, Sadiq Khan had to. Apparently the feud between Sadiq Khan and Donald Trump predates either of them being in any office as well, which I find all the more amusing. Okay, Mayor of London's pretty good, but President of the USA is a bit more impressive. But what I love about this is that Mr. Khan has insisted he didn't want to go anyway, echoing the stance of Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, who is also boycotting the dinner by not getting invited, I guess. And so come the day before Trump is due to arrive, Sadiq Khan takes to The Guardian to write a piece condemning him, obviously. I love this. It's un-British to roll out the red carpet for Donald Trump. Why? Donald Trump, Sadiq, is the President of the United States, our closest ally. We did it for his predecessor and presumably all of the predecessors before him. Why would we not do it now? It's just because you don't like Donald Trump himself, isn't it? As you say, the US president gives comfort to the far right. The prime minister should speak truth to power. Oh, God. Also, I can't help but notice that I'm being lectured to about what is and is not British by a proud European. Doesn't really seem to be your forte, Sadiq. Oh, of course, here we go. Oh, God, just literally in the first line. Praising the very fine people on both sides when torch-wielding white supremacists and anti-Semites, blah, 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 blah. The deliberate use of xenophobia, racism, otherness, blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God, Muslims, oh, God. It's just full-on shotgun loaded with progressive talking points in the first paragraph. No, these are not the actions of European dictators of the 30s and 40s. No, they were way worse. Way worse. Nor the military juntas of the 1970s and 80s. I'm not talking about Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un. That's because... Look. Oh, Jesus Christ, Sadiq. Look, you're just talking about offence. The people you have listed prior have all done terrible things, but you are talking about the offence Donald Trump has given as if it's equal to those things. No one thinks it is. No one thinks that just because Donald Trump is a giant orange dick, it makes him the same as Kim Jong-un. Or even comparable. I mean, well, oh God, it's like stepping into a horror world of mirrors. Just this, just where it's just distorted images of the real world. And you just think, Christ, Sadiq's mind is terrifying. I mean, if I thought that America was in control by actual fascists, I'd be like, fuck, we have problems. But that's obviously not the case. Like, it's so wildly obvious that that's not what's happening. Anyway, sorry. Horrific terrorist attack on our city by a Muslim. The British far-right racist group, blah, 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 blah. You know what, right, I'm glad that the Guardian have just done us a very short version of Sadiq whining. Viktor Orban, Matteo Salvini, Le Pen in France, and Nigel Farage here in the UK are using the same divisive tropes of the fascists of the 20th century to garner support. Really? Really, are they? They're saying their countries are... The existence of their countries is a good thing. That's the divisive trope, isn't it, proud European? That's the thing that you're saying is divisive. The fact that these people have different nations and they like their nations and think they should continue to exist, but they're using new sinister methods to deliver their message. They're being perfectly open. None of them are saying things they don't mean. They all say exactly what they think. That's the one saving grace of the sort of right-wing populists, is you know exactly where they stand. They're quite belligerent in that regard, in fact, which is one of the things I like about them. They're just open about what they mean. And you go, oh, that's horrifically offensive. Well, so fucking what? They are intentionally pitting their own citizens against one another regardless of the horrific impact in our communities. They are picking on minority groups and the marginalised to manufacture an enemy and encouraging people to do the same. Blah, 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 blah. Steve Bannon. That's why it's so un-British to be rolling out the red carpet this week for a formal state visit for a president whose divisive behaviour flies in the face of the ideals that America was founded upon. Equality, liberty and religious freedom. That's France, dummy. America was not founded on those ideals. It was life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Doesn't say anything about equality. Be free to be the person you want to be and leave each other alone. This is not leaving each other alone. You know, if you're so busy boycotting, why don't you go and fucking do it? In years to come, I suspect this state visit will be one we look back on with profound regret and acknowledge that we were on the wrong side of history. I think he honestly thinks that Donald Trump is genocidal. I just can't get... It's too late to stop the red carpet treatment, but it's not too late for the Prime Minister to do the right thing. Theresa May should issue a powerful rejection, not of the US as a country or the office of the presidency, because that would be logical, that would be sane, wouldn't it? But of Trump and the far-right agenda he embodies. That's right, Theresa May. You have to support Sadiq Khan's politics. And if you don't, you're a bad person. That's what Sadiq Khan is saying. Sadiq, you tin pot tiny tyrant. She does not have to agree with your politics. She does not have to find Donald Trump's politics particularly objectionable. And to be honest with you, they're not. They're really not. He's not that much different to like a 90s Democrat. Unsurprisingly, considering he was a Democrat in the 90s, just goes to show you how far to the left things have shifted, that Donald Trump is now far right. But anyway, history teaches us of the danger of being afraid to speak truth to power and the risk of failing to defend our values from the rise of the far right. Yet progressive values, not liberal values or conservative values, progressive values, the very left wing. Like, you are not the arbiter of what the correct politics is. Sadiq, I don't know why I have to say that. You'd think that would be an obvious statement. But apparently that's something that Sadiq just doesn't understand. At this challenging time in global politics, it's more important than ever that we remember that lesson. Yeah. it's just, oh God, who's it going to kill first? Which demographic is it going to wipe out? But anyway, in response to this, the God Emperor took to Twitter. Sadiq Khan, who by all accounts has done a terrible job of Mayor of London, true as well, has been foolishly nasty to the visiting President of the United States, by far the most important ally of the United Kingdom. He is a stone-cold loser who should focus on crime in London, not me. Oof! Oof! Are you going to roll your eyes at that, Sadiq? That's in reference to an interview about Sadiq Khan saying, "I've done all I can do," when confronted about his failure to tackle London's knife crime epidemic. Anyway, shots across the bow aside, he's a stone-cold loser who should focus on crime in London, not me. Khan reminds me very much of our dumb and incompetent Mayor of New York City, de Blasio, who's also done a terrible job, only half his height. In any event, he's just such a mad lad. In any event, I look forward to being a great friend to the United Kingdom, and I'm looking very much to my visit. Landing now. That was him coming down on the plane. So Donald Trump had BTFO'd Sadiq Khan before Trump had even landed. And so Sadiq Khan had a message for him. He had a stern, important message that he really thinks the president should take to heart.
President Trump, if you're watching this, your values and what you stand for are the complete opposite of London's values and the values in this country. We think diversity is not a weakness, diversity is a strength. We respect women and we think they're equal to men. We think it's important to safeguard the rights of all of us, particularly the vulnerable and the marginalised. When you are the President of the USA, you have a massive leadership role. You have a massive platform as well. People follow what you do. What we've seen over the last few years in the USA is a rolling back of much of the progress made in previous decades. It's really important we continue to move forwards. What we're seeing in the USA is a rolling back of the reproductive rights of women. We've got a situation now where some states in the USA are making it almost impossible for women to have the rights to have an abortion. One only has to look at the history books to realise the consequences of women not having the right to choose over their own body. What we can't afford to do is return to backstreet abortions. What we can't afford to see is a return to the situation in decades where you had women having no control over their bodies. It's really important we support women in the USA. The fight for gender equality shouldn't just be a fight for women and girls. All of us should be feminists, and that means men and boys too. It was Malala Yousafzai, the Nobel Prize winner, who said, how can all of us benefit when half of us are held back? That's why it's in all our interests to be feminists. If you believe that it's wrong that there's gender inequality, if you believe it's wrong that women earn less than men, if you believe it's wrong that women are still discriminated against in 2019, then you're a feminist.
Fucking peak virtue signaling from Sadiq Khan. You should be a feminist or you hate women. This is what it's come down to for Sadiq. Donald Trump, are you going to convert to the Church of Feminism? I wouldn't hold my fucking breath if I were you, Sadiq. I could do an entire video just going through what Sadiq Khan has said. They're ripping it apart, line by line, to show that there is absolutely nothing to this. This does not mean anything. It's just platitudes. It will never be accomplished. It will never come to fruition. They will never get the result they're looking for. And that's probably the fucking point. Your statements of belief are irrelevant, Sadiq Khan. So why don't you just skip to the part where you're hugely offended? And in the meantime, the God Emperor will go and have a state banquet with the Queen. The Queen said they were celebrating an alliance which had ensured the safety and prosperity of both our peoples for decades. Earlier, Trump and the First Lady laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown warrior in Westminster Abbey. The President also tweeted that a big trade deal is possible with the UK. He said that the trade deal can happen once the UK removed the shackles and praised the welcome from the royal family. So it looks like the royal family are doing everything right, Donald Trump's doing everything right, and you are standing in the corner like an overgrown child. No, wait. You're just standing in the corner like a child? And you whining that Donald Trump isn't part of your cult. And said cult is the politically correct establishment of Westminster. Politicians like Sadiq Khan or broadcasters like the BBC, who invited the Trump baby blimp, you may remember that from the last time he was coming, which he cancelled, which he apparently hates, into the studio. Holy shit, Victoria Derbyshire, my old mucker, buddy, dude, this is not a demonstration of the neutrality and impartiality that the BBC were meant to be founded on, those principles. This is the most partisan, partial, ridiculous thing for you to do. That you are doing this makes you look bad. It does not make Trump look bad, especially when he goes, Britain's a great country, I really appreciate our friendship, looking forward to doing a big trade deal when you get out of Brexit, which is what you voted for. Do you understand, like, the contrast between these two things, Victoria? Like, just, Jesus, what are you doing? You're making us look like an international laughing stock. Do you understand that? You are making us look bad. And you can say, well, what about you? Blah, blah, blah. Sure, but I'm not one of the great and good of this country. These are the politicians. These are the media, like figures, the talking heads, the famous people. These are the people who are controlling the way that opinion is formed in this country, and they're acting like this. And so it should be no surprise when people do things like this. Someone apparently got a lawnmower and mowed a giant dick in a field that it was likely that Trump was going to fly over and see on his way in. I mean, really? Like this guy's hugely important to the future of Britain. Do you understand that? The fact that he wants to give us an amazing trade deal. The fact that he's going to support us against the European Union. You're all going, oh, we're all alone, we're all alone. No, we're not. We actually have America backing us with Donald Trump at the helm. A guy who's quite a savvy businessman. He made himself a billionaire, didn't he? And he's going to help us succeed as well. So why are you doing this? Because you find him offensive. Because he's not a feminist. You wild-eyed cultists. I would never do this to any other world leader. It could be like, imagine if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became president of the United States. God forbid, right? The atheist says, God forbid, please, Lord, don't. But imagine if she did. I wouldn't do something like this to... I wouldn't lawnmower her vagina and say, hey, Cortez, in the thing. I wouldn't do that, because I would think, right, okay, regardless of my feelings on her, we have to be a little more statesmanly about this and accept that she is the President of the United States, which is an office. It's not just a person. And so we have to treat that office with a bit of dignity, regardless of who fills it. Like, what are you doing? And the media, exactly, and the media is the ones doing. And it is indeed the media doing this, as you can see with Victoria Derbyshire and Sadiq Khan, using the media, Elle magazine and CNN. This is the latest smear, and this is wild. This is why Donald Trump used the phrase nasty in his tweet, right? Because this is just, it's such a brazen lie. Trump calls Meghan Markle nasty ahead of UK trip. Really? Does he? God, why did he do that? Like, what did he say about it? It must have been really scathing for this kind of absolutely dishonest headline.
Right. Meghan, who's now the Duchess of Sussex,
right.
We've given her a different name. She can't make it because she's got maternity leave. Are you sorry not to see her because she wasn't so nice about you during the campaign? I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No, I hope she's okay. I did not know that. No.
She said she'd move to Canada if you got elected. Turned out she moved to Britain.
Well, that would be good. I mean, there are a lot of people moving here. So what can I say? No, I didn't know that she was nasty.
Is it good having an American princess, then, Mr. President? Is that
Well,
sort of help the links?
I think it's nice. I think it's nice, and I'm sure she'll do excellently. She'll be very good. She'll be very good. I hope she does.
That's hardly a fair characterization of what he said there. If anything, that was shockingly polite and diplomatic for Donald Trump, don't you think? To say that he's being told what she said third hand. He doesn't know. He's just like, well, I'm sorry that she was nasty about it. And it's like, well, to be honest with you, she kind of was, wasn't she? She seemed to be acting, again, quite childishly and throwing her toys out of the pram. But to suggest that this is Donald Trump just like going on an attack on her, and that's the implication given, is just wrong. Like he was really nice about it, to be honest, wasn't he? But yeah, so basically Donald Trump is turning the UK media and political landscape in Westminster even more backwards than before. I just wish we could have got that God Emperor Trump statue over, to be honest.